Okay, this video is about Whiting's dry fly cock capes. Now then, I've just taken a couple of feathers from a pro quality and stuck them on here, and you can see the length of the hackle. I've taken great pains on all of these necks to remove the feathers from exactly the same place in relation from the tip of the neck to where I removed them, so you get an idea of how the grades alter. So you can see pro grade, which is the basic starter grade, that length. Bronze grade, you've got about 3 or 4 centimeters more, and gold, which are very impressive indeed. Unfortunately, I haven't got any silver, but it's safe to assume it'll be somewhere in between the two. Now then, this feather here is from another company's genetic neck, which is the same cost value as that pro grade. So you can see it's a little bit on the miserable side as a comparison. Quite a nice shaped feather if you're doing streamer lures. This motley thing here is from an old cape of mine going right back to about the 1970s, again removed from the same position, so you can see how genetic feathers have greatly improved what you get from the fly tying point of view. And seeing as I've been collecting materials for quite a long time, this one here is what was sold to me as a AAA, which is the most expensive at the time that you could get of non-genetic feathers in the sometime during the 1970s. And that sad article is the best that's going. At the time I was quite pleased to tie my dry flies with these. It only took two small feathers to make a really half decent floating fly. Now, got some more info on the back here. This is quite interesting. I can show you on an actual cape. If you take a feather from this region here, it will be quite long, short in the fibre, but if you take it from the extreme edges, it will be stiffer in the fibre, a lot longer in the fibre, and a lot shorter feather. So it's quite useful to remember that when you're wanting tailing material, you go along the edge of your cape to find the most suitable for using for dry fly tails. Or if you need a very stiff, shorter feather for, say, floating a larger parachute fly, that's where you get them from. To show you what I mean, this feather from the edge was taken in exactly the same line as that feather from the middle, and you can see that the fibre length is nearly twice as long as the one from the centre, but the fibres are actually stiffer. And this is an example of a Greenwell's or furnace cock hackle, and the main thing about this is it's got a gingery to red edge to the feather and a dark, well, black, so it should have a black centre. Now I hope you can see that getting a saddle feather is far easier to get a thicker black centre than it is off the capes. Some of the smaller Greenwell and furnace feathers on a lot of capes end up with almost no centre at all. So if you need that dark center for your particular fly, it's best to sort out a saddle for the job. Here we've got the same thing. This is a golden badger, and the center on this saddle is twice as thick as that badger. But the real plus point of your capes is the size range you've got. So even in this cape, which is the starter grade, you've got feathers that will do 22s, 24s, really small, and quite enough feathers to do quite a few flies. When you're working with the smaller flies, it's pretty easy to tie 3 flies or even 4 flies per feather. And then you've got this, what they call the sweet spot here, which is your 16s to 14 region, and then going on to your bigger feathers. This is where the genetic edge fades away, because they're pretty close to any other sizable neck when you get on this larger scale. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into choosing your necks. Now I'm going to demonstrate a bad neck. This neck has beautiful shaped feathers for streamer flies, but for actually wrapping around the hook shank for doing your sea trout, salmon flies, rainbow flies, it behaves very badly. Let me to demonstrate a bad cape by showing how it wraps around the hook shank. Now, both of these feathers I'm going to show you are from genetic sources. I'm not going to name the company responsible for the bad neck, because I think it's not very fair to blacken a firm based on one cape where the others might be excellent. I don't know. So this is one firm's, and you can see how even winding with my fingers like this without hackle pliers, how the hackle behaves itself, and I can quite easily go back through the hackle with the thread to tie it off. No problems at all. The interesting thing is both of these necks retailed at roughly the same price. This purple feather I've got originally started off as white, and a friend gave me the cape as a bit of a present without saying why, and I suspect it was because he found it was completely useless for tying the bulk of flies with. Snap that off. Now then, look at how that hackle's behaved. Now again, same way of tying, and it refuses to turn properly. It just forms this awful mess at the beginning, more or less confining you to just using the extreme tips of the feather. So when you go back through it, you flatten even more fibres. Not worth the money. So if you purchase a cape that behaves like this, where it wraps badly, I would suggest sending it back to the retailer and getting a refund.